Welcome to the Virginia is for Sports podcast with your hosts, Kevin Flippin as Flip, Paul Gilman as PG Fitty P, and Kenny Wingle as K-Dub. Let's play VA.
Week one was Stu Brown was the man. Lots of great reaction, good stuff. How are we feeling?
I am very proud of college basketball in our state for teams doing things that I don't think anybody expected them to at the beginning of the season. I know we're going to get into it a little bit. I'm also very thankful for no real obnoxious references to UNC behind you, Kevin.
Beautiful. Yeah, way to clean that up, Flip. Way to clean it up. The background's looking much better.
Well, it looks much better to you, maybe. But, hey, things change. Look, right, we're fluid. We're fluid back here. There's all kinds of new stuff, old stuff. We'll see what happens in week 3. But thanks for pointing that out, Paul. I appreciate that. Before we get to – and that was go ahead.
Who is number 17 for VCU? Is that just the year that you bought the jersey, or is there a number 17 for VCU? Should I know?
That's Brody Flippin. That's who that is.
All right.
So what happened, Brody played for VCU, Briggs played for Richmond. So there you go. Now, is that going to happen one day down the road? But I got them as 7-year-olds. So
nice.
Good stuff.
All right.
Hey, so that would have been a good segue too. And we're going to talk about local college basketball teams. When I say local, I mean the state of Virginia, because there's a bunch of good ones again. And K-Dub, I know you got something special to talk about here in a little bit. But one of the things that jumped out at the nation, really, or anybody watching sports this weekend, was the South Carolina LSU women's game. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to preface what we're going to talk about with, I think, personally, women's basketball has been very entertaining this year. And I'm not saying it's not usually entertaining, but it's been extra entertaining this year. There's a lot of household names on the college women's side that aren't really, there's more of them than there are on the men's side right now. The Caitlin Clarks, the Angel Reeses, the young girl out in UCLA, what's her name? Juju. There's a lot of really good players. So there's a spotlight on the women's game. And Virginia's own Dawn Staley is leading the charge this year with another undefeated South Carolina squad. Well, South Carolina played LSU in the conference championship game. And I want to get you guys' opinion on what happened and the response to it from the coaches. And I'll kind of lay it out real quick. And if I miss something, let me know. There was a timeout. It was late in the game, and I think South Carolina kind of had the game a little bit wrapped up, or they were kind of starting to pull away a little bit. They had gained control of the game, and the two teams were passing each other to go to the bench. And one of the LSU players threw a shoulder into one of the South Carolina players. Well, people started getting together, and one of probably the biggest South Carolina player, the center, Camilla, I believe is her name, came over and pushed the LSU young lady who had shouldered the South Carolina onto the ground. And it was kind of a melee. It wasn't no punches thrown or anything like that. I will say this. The girl who got pushed to the ground's brother jumped over the scorer's table and ended up getting escorted out. And I believe got charged with
he got arrested.
Battery.
Yeah, he got arrested.
So it was a pretty good melee. And it doesn't always happen, and because women are usually a calmer creature than men when it comes to these things. You see us, we're fighting all the time. But first of all, what did you guys think of the incident? And then let's talk about what the coaches thought afterward. And PG50P, I'll start with you.
Yeah, Camilla's her first name. Cardoza's her last name. Yeah, look, my immediate reaction is to be entertained. And I didn't realize that game was on. I was flipping channels. I literally got to that channel right after the whistle blew, And so I saw the altercation, but I didn't have any context or anything that had happened before in the game. And once I transitioned from being entertained, because it's always ridiculous when somebody pushes somebody to the ground. It's just ridiculous. It's basketball. What are we getting that excited about? I get the tempers flare, but Cardozo's completely in the wrong. The LSU player's a little bit in the wrong too. She shouldn't have thrown that little shoulder or whatever she did. But I will say this, and I am proud of Dawn Staley. And the reason we're talking about this, to your point, is because Dawn Staley spent 4 years in Charlottesville, Virginia. She wears a sweatsuit, and she speaks mature, calm coach speak. And I tell you, I couldn't have been more proud of how she handled the after game press little moment or interview on the court. And you put that up against Kim Mulkey. She's wearing sequins and ruffles on her jacket, basically telling the world, look at me. And then she talks smack in the press conference, and she had plenty of time to think about that. Like, you guys, I wish she had done it to Angel Reese. Really? Are we out in the playground right now? Kim Mulkey, you're supposed to be a mature adult. You're supposed to bring calm and wisdom to this, not I'll put my big player up against your big player anytime. Like, come on. This isn't WWE. Stop it.
Mulkey's flashy, but Dawn Staley would crush her one-on-one in their prime. I know Mulkey was a baller, but could you imagine Mulkey be talking so much smack to Dawn Staley and she'd just be putting in work against her? She wouldn't have a chance.
It would be 98-4 if they played one-on-one.
It's a big rivalry, right? So that's as simple as it is, right? Stuff gets heated. It's perfect. Dawn Staley said it right after the game on the court, right? Like, we got heated. We'll do better at doing that. The girls out here celebrating, the ones that got it, ejected can't be celebrating. So hopefully they learn from that. But either way, we'll do better. And I'm sorry was immediate, right? That's heartfelt. And then to PG's point, you get time to sit around, like, that's a big story too. Like, culture, we talk about that. And I'm glad, PG, you're talking about the coaching, because that's different levels of it there. Like, what is the locker room and the culture like in LSU versus South Carolina, right? They both got ballers out the world, right? All those girls are good, but Angel Reese disappeared for 4 games. Nobody still knows why she was gone. So who knows what's happening in that locker room, but kudos to VA balling champion Dawn Staley. Well done.
Yep. And it was a great set because Dawn Staley actually was listed as one of the people that we'd like to get on the podcast. So, this would be great for her to come on and tell her side of the story. She's welcome anytime, Dawn. If you're I'm sure you're listening. You're welcome anytime. Obviously, if you want to wait till the tournament, it dang sure is a rivalry. And guess what? The NCAA tournament is starting next week, and they're probably going to end up playing at some point, whether it's the Final Four or the finals. And you mentioned Angel Reese. It's funny because I feel like Angel Reese's name was put on the map last year in the NCAA tournament, the Final Four, when her and Caitlin Clark were going at it. And of course, Angel Reese got the better of that. They won the championship. So we'll see. Good discussion though, and I love talking about things that revolve around coaching because PG Fitty P enjoys those discussions. But let's transition to, and the way we're going to transition into this is, K-Dub, tell us where you were this weekend and a little bit about what you saw.
I've been super excited and looking forward to the women's A10 tournament. So my youngest Luke and I went to the semifinal games on Saturday at the Henrico Sports Center, and it was phenomenal. The girls balled out. Man, it was so cool. We walked into the gym, and you walk right up, and you're just hanging out right there, at the court. You could stand there and watch it, or you can go grab a seat. But, man, the environment was super cool. The Virginia Sports Hall of Fame stuff all around the center. And just the fact that you're that close. I mean, the girls won, Richmond won, and we were standing there when they won, and they're like, "Let's go do the bracket thing." So they run out in the hallway and slap their logo on the bracket. But it's just so accessible, but the basketball is so fundamentally sound and clean. It was fun to watch. So I didn't get to go back out on Sunday because I had a comedy show, but I know they whipped up. But man, I had a heck of a time. So shout out to the staff over there and what they're doing at that center. It's awesome. I'll be back a lot.
Yes, absolutely. So,
well, can I just tell you how big of a deal this is? So the A10 has been around, at least the tournament, the basketball tournament for the women. It's probably true for the men as well, since '83. So this has been going on for 4 decades. GW, George Washington, has 7 tournament championships. Guess how many Richmond has after the win Sunday?
1.
In 40 years. 1. They've won it one time, and it was Sunday. How cool is that? I mean, I don't know. I wish I knew what their ranking was at the beginning of the season, where they expected to come in 5th regular season kind of thing or not. But the fact that they won first one ever, I guarantee you nobody was predicting them to win that tournament at any point during the season.
They were a 1 seed, and so were the guys too. So
really,
yeah, Richmond's got ballers.
Oh wow,
yeah, they're both 1 seeds.
Yeah, the men's team won the first. This is the first time they've won their A10 regular season title on the men's side. They've won the tournament before, but they hadn't won the regular season. So kudos to both of them.
And the funny thing about the second semifinal was Rhode Island. Oh man, but Rhode Island and somebody. Well, Rhode Island obviously won and moved on, and I can't remember who. St. Louis, and both of the coaches from those 2 teams had Virginia ties.
Yeah, that's awesome. One other real quick Virginia tie. The last 4 women's tournament champions in the A10, VCU, UMass, St. Louis, Richmond from 21 to 24. And for all 4 of those, it was their first time winning the tournament.
Wow.
That's cool, right? That's really
cool.
I
like how we've always claimed with all the stuff that we've done that we've never been researchers. And within the first 10 minutes, PG Fitty P has turned into Stat Boy automatic right now.
Well, the only thing I knew about the University of Richmond women's basketball team was everything I just said. I had no idea they were the 1 seed coming in.
No. I don't think it was expected. Great coaching, right? There's a lot of great coaching in VA, and I think that'll lead us into our next guest, episode 2 here. This guy I've known him for a long time because he's been the president of Hanover Youth Basketball League for the longest time. Always been a cool dude. This year, things in Hanover County at Mechanicsville High School. I know he's coached. He'll give us more of his intro, but just a great dude. Excited to have him on. And please, everybody, welcome Mr. Kevin Brooks, coach of Mechanicsville High School boys basketball.
Thanks, K-Dub. Appreciate y'all having me tonight.
Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. So
let me see the shirt. We can't see it as good. Who is that? There we go. Give them a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mustangs.
So we are. I'll tell you, I was listening in a little bit earlier and heard y'all talking about Richmond women's basketball, but the head coach's wife was a graduate assistant at VCU when I worked down there. So Virginia ties on 8 miles apart there for Flip.
Yeah. There we go.
All about that.
So you're like
you're watch out.
The what is it? The eastern part of you could be considered the old church mayor, right? I've heard that as a
maybe.
nickname.
Yeah, maybe.
Close to you're big time in Hanover.
Close to you, your neck of the woods in King William. Not too far.
So tell me about how you got hired at Mechanicsville High School. I mean, obviously, besides being the mayor.
I've Mechanicsville resident most of my life. I spent 1 year, 13 months in New York right out of college, over 6 months before September 11th, 7 months after. So, and then came back to Richmond and had, obviously played at Atlee High School, knew of Lee Davis, Mechanicsville, knew Tripp Metzger pretty well. through our HYBL stuff and through just being in the county and knowing people. And when the opportunity came up, we talked about it and would it be something that we could consider? And, a lot of thoughts of like, are we really ready to do this? Because I coached the girls at Hanover High School for about 6 years, probably about a dozen years ago. And our oldest two children that are now 15 and 13 were probably 3 and 1.5 at the time. They're 18 months apart, and just got to a point where it was like, yeah, now's not the time. Right. And I never thought I would go back, honestly. And then my kids will go to Mechanicsville, and I've told everyone I wouldn't go back for anywhere but Mechanicsville. And, when the opportunity presented itself, obviously a lot of work to do, but I felt like it was a great place to kind of come in, leave a legacy, put your imprint on it, and build from there. So super excited after year one, ready for year two, learned a lot and ready to go.
Hey, I attended a bunch of those games, and we'll get into that a little bit more too. But you guys got to go see Kev coach, because the intensity, and he'll just go, "Let's go," and just give you 4 "let's goes" in a row, and it changes the whole atmosphere of the gym. I've never seen it in coaching like that. So you do a great job, Brooks. Obviously.
Well, I appreciate that. It's my personality when I'm on this podcast, and most of my daily work is not what comes out on Tuesday and Friday nights. But I have, and I told somebody at lunch today, like I feel like it's very important for me to show those kids the passion and the energy that I have, and so they know that I have their back and that I'm there for them, and to give them that energy. I had a couple kids this year that were like, "Coach, I need your energy," and that makes it worth it.
Yeah. When the suit jacket comes off, they're getting all the energy. So
And my
I'm
daughter
going to
loves she will typically catch it.
That's the thing. That's what I noticed. He'll throw the jacket. It's like, all right, it's game time now. So you mentioned the Hanover Youth Basketball League, and I think it's one of the coolest things. My kid's been playing in it. I've coached in it for a bunch of years. I didn't coach this past season, but for 7, 8 years probably, I've been involved with Hanover Youth Basketball League. We've played at the Siegel Center one summer, which was super cool. The kids got to play on the main court. And now most of the games, most of the older games now are played at Big Ben Wallace's gym. So that's pretty awesome. And also another guest that we're trying to get on here. So Kev, whenever you're ready to send Ben our way, just let us know.
Yeah, well, that's COVID. I guess it's 4 years ago tonight when all of basketball stopped. But COVID kind of put us in a situation where you're going to get to go back into schools, not go back into schools to play, and where they're going to be outside activities, where they even going to go back to school. And I know the first year I took over was the summer that they were doing a lot of fiber in all of the middle schools, and so they were talking about canceling the season. And I said to one of our other board members, I was like, "Let's call the Siegel Center," and he's like, "Nah, they won't do it." I'm like, I used to run camp there. Like when all those bleachers are pushed back and those 6 courts, it's perfect for us. So, we had a couple people that were like, I can't go from downtown home to back downtown. But by and large, I will tell anyone in the world, the most photos we ever had posted on social media were when those kids were playing in the Siegel Center at 6:00 on Tuesday night. It was just awesome. So glad that worked out. And then we found Ben needed something to plug in the weekends, and we needed a place to go. And so we used those 2 courts for 12 to 14 hours a day, Saturdays and Sundays, and got the program in. And it's been good ever since. And we love it. They're good to us. And we've started going back in more of the schools, which has been really good. So, but we usually have about 700 kids in the winter, 400 kids in the summer. So it's a lot, but it helps get them active, get them out there. And basketball has always been my passion. So super excited about it.
Awesome. Flip, what you got, man?
So, Coach, question. So I know kids have changed because society's changed. Things have changed a lot from 40 years ago when I was in high school to now. But tell me, it's kind of a two-part question. What is your favorite part about coaching the kids now? And what's your least favorite part? And we can leave names out to the least favorite part if you want, but what's your favorite part and the least favorite?
So I'll go least favorite part to start. My least favorite part is specifically with high school is you don't get to be with your guys enough, right? It's really hard to get to know them and them to get to know you. And my least favorite part going through a season is our first game was December 1st. Kenny was there. And our last game was February 9th. And you play 22 in between, right? So the math on that tells you that you're playing 22 games in about 70, 75 days, right? And so you don't play on Sunday. You rarely play on Saturday. So you are going to the school, getting on a bus, going to play, or you're going to the school JV game, preparing to play. And it gets hard to get to know your guys because you build your team in early November and then Thanksgiving, and then you're off to the races and you got to go, right? So that's probably my least favorite part. My favorite part is when I had been out for so long, and social media allows you to know people that you went to high school with and who their kids are. And so there was one kid on our team this year, and I tell this story all the time. He was always the face to me because I had always just seen his mom post pictures of him playing at Mechanicsville. So when I took the job, he's literally the only kid that was sophomore, junior, or senior that I knew, even knew their name. So he became the face to me of what a lot of other kids became huge impacts in my life and my kids' life and my wife's life, right? So my favorite part is just the relationship that you do end up getting to have with the kids, right? The when you're in the locker room and only one team wins, right? Only one team smiles at the end. When you're in the locker room and every other team has that last game and the finality of everybody's crying in the locker room, that's the best part because you're invested. That's the part that means the most to me because it means we invested in it and it meant something to us. And so I think we were able to build that in year one and kind of get that trust and sort of establish like we're different and we're building a program and something that you guys can be proud of.
I love it.
Very nice. PG, what you got?
Kevin, thanks for everything you do with HYBL. I'm not going to thank you for what you do for Mechanicsville because I live in Patrick Henry territory, and I assume those are still rivals, right?
They are. They are. And Coach does a really good job up there. Really good job.
Yeah. So like K-Dub, I coached in HYBL for many years. All three of my kids coming through, they combined probably had, 17, 18 years of playing time, both winter and summer. And I'm a huge lover of basketball. K-Dub, Flip and I all love the sport. It's my favorite sport. I think it may be Flip and K-Dub's favorite sport, but why is it your favorite sport?
So I knew I wanted to be a basketball coach when I was in middle school, right? And so it's probably my favorite sport because it was my brother's least favorite sport and the one he wasn't best at. He was a good football player, he was a good baseball player, and he could play basketball because he was a good athlete. And I wasn't a very good athlete, but like I understood basketball and I worked at it. And so I could be pretty good at that. And so I think, initially as a 10-year-old kid, because that's when I started in HYBL playing at Real Point on carpet and our coach having us run out. Jack Bostain had us run out of the locker room before the other game was over for warmups. I'll never forget it. Right. And that's the part of coaching that you love is those memories that last a lifetime. And so I think that's probably where I fell in love with it, was because that could be how I forged my own identity. And I wasn't my brother's brother then. I was Kevin, the basketball player. It's a great question.
Great.
So, girls game versus guys game. Then you've coached the girls. Which one do you watch more of? And coaching, maybe the differences between coaching and what you see in the games. I mean,
so Mike Muse, he's at Wake Forest now on their staff. And before I coached the girls, he told me when I had taken the job before my first season, he said, you will instantly become a better coach literally the first week, because they will take everything you say literally, and you will have to learn how to teach it literally, and you will have to break it down. And it is played below the rim. So there's a lot of strategy that can come involved, and you're not going to out athleticize somebody. And so I think I learned so much coaching girls, and he was right. And in our district at the time, Holland Springs was getting really good. Atlee had come off state championships and was really good. They had Price and Henderson and a couple of other kids that ended up going Division I. And so it was really, really a tough league. Guys at the high school level now, years later, it's intense and it's serious and it's a physical game. And so I think the physicality on the boys' side is a huge difference maker, and you still can kind of get those athletes that get on the wing that you can't do much about, right? You can try to run interference, but if they want to get there, they can get there. And I think the girls' game, you can kind of tweak and pivot on some of that stuff. Both very fun to coach. I watch more guys, but I mean, you put a game on, I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Some games I'll watch 2, 3, 4 times. My wife's like, didn't this game get played last night? I'm like, yeah.
I'm a coach, honey.
It's back on.
I'm learning.
That's right. I did find myself all through the tournament last year, because I knew I was going to be coming back. Yeah, I watched it with a different lens. I was like, oh, I like that. Oh, that was good. We'll write that down. Quite a few napkins over dinner. It's like, let's see what we like here.
What you got, Flip?
So, Coach, if you don't mind, what we like to do on the podcast is a little segment where we do rapid fire questions. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Sorry, one more question. And because you're our first active coach, last week we had Stu, as we mentioned, and he's not coaching at the moment. I love asking this question of active coaches. Which player or two that graduated are you really going to miss? And which player or two are you super excited they're still going to be playing on your team? And
before you answer that, can I add a little to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're year one now at Mechanicsville, so you've got us. Oh well, yeah. All right. So HYBL, right? Your baller, and part of a lot of the reason why I come to the games is I coached him when he was younger at the Siegel Center too. That summer he was there. I don't know how old he was, probably 9, 8, 9. But awesome freshman Chris Lamb was a baller. Your starting point guard, I guess.
Yeah,
started
absolutely.
Sometimes. But I coached him a bunch in HYBL. It was always like, I want that dude. Like, I hope I get the first draft pick because I want that dude. And it's like, all right.
PG 50P, he had him and nobody was beating him, right? He was, hey, you could hand him the trophy at draft night.
It was fun. We played team ball, but Chris was a baller. It was like he was getting to the hole just like he did, all season this year. But it's funny because Tripp was going, hey, is he going to go to Mechanicsville? Is he going to go to Mechanicsville? And dang if he didn't end up at Mechanicsville on your first year of coaching. So well done for recruiting that one.
So my son is same grade as Chris and Isaiah, and then they were our 2 freshmen that started for us this year. Isaiah probably started 17 games. Chris started 21. The only game Chris didn't start was senior night because it's important to me to start seniors. So that's the only game he didn't start. He had 26 his first night against King William. I know that was one that was awesome. So super excited about that, right? And the ability to be able to build around a core group that you have for a long time. For seniors, Joseph Evans, like I mentioned earlier, just someone who been in the program 3 years, kind of had been the face, kind of had been, he moved off the ball when Chris got there. And so that takes a lot of sacrifice for a senior to kind of allow a freshman to kind of come in, get the ball day one, and kind of, he grew, and I think he learned a lot through the process and was really, really good about it. So I'm definitely going to miss him. And Bryson Blake was a kid that didn't play as a junior, started coming to open gyms at 6:30 in the morning. And the more I was around him, the more I was like, he's not a great basketball player, but he's going to outwork everybody who's out here, and he will give you everything you have. And there's a lot of kids that I'm still in touch with that I've coached or been around or been associated with. And Bryson is way up there. He is my favorite all-time boys high school player I've ever had the opportunity to coach.
Awesome.
Just because he's a wonderful, wonderful human.
And your kids are going to listen to this, Coach?
Yeah, and they know. My son doesn't play, so he doesn't play, and so he's like, "Dad, you have a game tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah, but we play tonight."
So that's kind of like your brother, right? He's like, am I going to have to be?
Yeah.
Right.
No,
it's the same thing. He's like, I'm going to go do
great.
lacrosse, Dad, or
Great.
whatever.
So he's a teacher's aide with Isaiah, and he would say, "Dad, I just told Isaiah, please win tonight, so my dad's in a good mood this weekend."
Hey, Coach, I tell my kids all the time, there's two things that you can control is your attitude and your effort. And it sounds like, you've got some kids that embody that. That's pretty awesome. It's great to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great to have.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to fire some questions at you. Take us either long or short answers, whatever you want to do. That's up to you. All right. You ready?
Ready.
Best player you ever coached against?
Chris Paul, NCAA tournament. 28. We tried to keep him on one side of the floor. It didn't work. 78-77, 2004.
And you were coaching where?
Wow.
At VCU.
Yeah. Wow.
Nice.
We were up by 8. We were up by 8 with about 8.5 minutes to go, and literally got up for a timeout. And we're like, man, we're gonna win. And Manhattan had just beaten Florida, and we're like, oh, we're gonna win an NCAA tournament game. We're gonna play Manhattan to go to the Sweet 16. 90 seconds later, we were down 1. They hit 3 straight threes, and we called a timeout. It was fast.
Who was the star on that year on the VCU team?
Dominique Jones.
Okay.
All right. So
sorry, Philip. Go back to it.
Then. Who's the best player you've ever coached?
Best player we ever coached at the time, or best player we ever coached?
Period. Any coaching role you
where
ever
they went to.
had. Any job.
Eric Maynard.
Yeah.
Eric Maynard, yeah.
A good one.
Just his freshman year, though.
All right.
Just his freshman year. But, I mean, who he became, I think that's tough to overcome.
Yeah.
Well, Eric Maynard will always have a special place in my heart just because of the shot he hit against Duke. All right, so we'll move on. Sorry, Paul. Best advice you've ever been given?
Best advice I was ever given was by Tom Konchowski, who used to run HSBI Report out of New York. It was a scouting service, long-time scouting service. He told me when I was a manager at VCU and I was driving him up to Fork Union to watch Fork Union work out, that the job you have right now, you have to treat that as if that's the best job in the world, because it's the one that will lead to the next one.
That's great advice. Smart man.
Yeah, it was great.
Who is the most famous athlete from Mechanicsville High School? You can obviously take this back to when it was Lee Davis or whatever it was before that. The most like if you were walking around the halls even today, this person's name, people would know who it is.
Well, if you're an NFL guy, it's got to be Joe Douglas, right? I mean, GM of the Jets. I mean, that's pretty high up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was fishing for Jock Jones, but I
Jock
think Joe
Jones.
Douglas might be.
Jock Jones was before my brother. Yeah, Jock Jones. Phoenix Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, St. Louis, I think, is where he started.
Yeah, friend of the podcast, Jock Jones. And last one for you. Who's your favorite basketball player growing up?
Michael Jordan.
Oh.
That's the easy one.
Hey, hold on.
That's the way to interact.
Kevin, you see that license plate behind Flip's head? He tells everybody that's Air Jordan, but I know for a fact he knows a guy named Arnold Jordan.
Arnold Jordan.
That's the license plate.
Somebody else had AIR, so I had to modify it.
PG50P.
I think like 30 years old.
You're a LeBron guy?
No. Let me be clear. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player who ever lived. It's not even a discussion. It's silly when people even have the debate. But he went to UNC. That's his only problem.
Okay.
I just don't like his college choice.
Well, that'll be we'll debate that one on the next podcast.
I mean, the bottom of this podcast disagrees with you wholeheartedly, but
I understand. Sure. Are we going in Mount Rushmore?
There's always 2 up and 2 down.
That's right. We are in Virginia.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So let's flip. You want to? I think that's.
Hey.
Let's get into it. So
let's do it. So
Kevin, you probably watched the first episode. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But you don't have to admit to it. But thank you for watching it. You haven't subscribed yet because I can see that. So go ahead and subscribe.
I asked where the North Carolina portion of Flips.
You can bring your North Carolina comments to our podcast and our YouTube, but you got to subscribe to be able to do that. You can talk about whatever you want. So the topic is basketball. We do our Mount Rushmore. They could overlap, could be the same person. So this week's Mount Rushmore, if you want to stick around and do it, you're welcome to, is greatest basketball players with ties to Virginia. So that means they could be born in Virginia, played in Virginia, anything. They've got a tie to Virginia. Who it is, I'm going to let, since we're throwing you on the spot, I'm going to go to the guy that really likes Virginia basketball. I'll go to PG50P first. So top 4 Mount Rushmore of basketball players from VA.
Yeah, I'll start with the first guy to ever get $1 million contract in the NBA, first guy to ever go directly from high school to the NBA, Petersburg High School's finest basketball player. Like, there'll never be another one. We can go another 500 years into the future. There will never be another Moses Malone. So if he's not on your Mount Rushmore, you obviously don't understand basketball in the state of Virginia.
You are wrong. That's correct.
Hey, by the way, I think he holds the record for getting his own rebound too.
That's okay.
That dude used to miss 3 layups in a row and have 4 rebounds. Yeah, he was awesome though. He was awesome. Good. That's a
you
good
accusing Moses of padding his stats back in the 70s?
No, not at all.
Is that what you're saying?
He was legitimately missing the shots. I don't think he was padding his stats. All right, who's next?
All right, anybody else have Moses on there? Are we all going with Moses on that? Is it?
Moses has to be on there.
All right, so
I mean,
I put Moses on there. You had him as honorable mention?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you one of my 4 that aren't Moses. And this guy's probably on you guys' list too. I don't know. I'm not going to steal yours, PG. Allen Iverson. I mean, I don't know what you can really say. I mean, he could have been a NFL quarterback for all we know. He was such a great athlete, but what he changed the game of basketball in many ways. The dress code, the way he played, the crossover, the fearlessness. The dude was unbelievable. And I'm a Jordan fan, and he crossed Jordan over. So, it's tough for me to say sometimes. But yeah.
All right.
If you're in the Hall of Fame, you probably ought to be on somebody's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I mean, AI is on my list, and let's share this. He went to Bethel High School out of Hampton. I happened to meet Chris Gaskell thanks to Stu Brown. Chris with him in high school. And he said he was a better football player than he was a basketball player. And I'm like, I don't know how that's possible. And he said he actually was. The only reason he didn't play in the NFL was that he just wasn't quite big enough. Like it literally his lower legs weren't big enough to play in the league, is what he said. But yeah, he's definitely my Mount Rushmore.
And Chris was his center, right? In high school.
Actually, he ended up playing center at Wake Forest. He was a tight end.
Okay.
When he finished up at Bethel. Yeah.
Nice. All right, Coach.
All right, so yeah. Well, he's Coach said Moses. Too.
Moses.
Yep. So let's start round 2 with you, Brooks, Coach Brooks. Or hold on. I'm sorry, I'm confused. You said Iverson was your round 1. Okay. Do we have?
Yep.
He's on yours. I don't have him on mine.
Really?
Well, look,
Nice.
this is obviously your opinion, so people can comment, say whatever they want. But these are the 4. I'm thinking of my special 4. I almost want to retract Moses Malone, but anyways, I'm good with my next 3. So I'm going to let you go, Coach Brooks, with yours.
So when we go around Mount Rushmore, can we talk? I mean, we can talk impact on the game, right? I mean, Flip,
Yes.
You talked about Iverson right there. I'm hard pressed to not include. Wait for it, Don Staley.
Boom. Good call.
Y'all have just picked off 3 of my 4. Dawn's on my list too.
All right, you better start working on your honorable mention then. So
hold on a minute. So Kevin, I'm the same year at the same college as her, and I used to play pickup ball. And I'm telling you, I played pickup ball with guys that played for the UVA team. Herman Moore, I can tell you that story later. I played with Rick Carlisle, John Crotty. But I got a couple games on her team and a couple games playing against her. She's the best basketball player I've ever physically been on a court with. And I've been out there with some pretty good players. She's unbelievable. She played an entire game left-handed, and if you didn't know that she was right-handed, you're like, oh, she's an amazing left-handed player. But that was her weak hand. It's crazy.
That's good.
There we go. We're matching up pretty good.
We're 3 for 3 so far.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't have Dawn, but that's a great pick. K-Dub's on the mute.
yeah, see, that's the physical. What happens all the time at your work conference calls when somebody's like, "Sorry, I was on mute." That's exactly what it looks like. If you have your camera on, which I never do. Can I give one? And I'm going.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
going VCU legend. I hope I'm not stepping on yours, but I'm thinking about guests too, and I want put Calvin Duncan on my Mount Rushmore. And Coach Brooks, you could say as much as you want about Calvin Duncan because I know you met him a bunch of times, probably.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great pick. One of the original, probably pipeline from Oak Hill, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you didn't even think about all the Oak Hill guys that got ties. Good call.
Yeah, we could do a Mount Rushmore of Oak Hill players easily.
They're all from VA. All right.
Well, they played in VA. I know that. All right. So, Paul, you've already went, right, for number 2. It was Don
We keep
Staley.
stealing them.
My number 2, and my number 2, when I was a kid, my mom's family is from on the other side of Harrisonburg in Stanton, Virginia. So I would get the sports page up there, and there was always this dude with blue streaks written on his jersey, and he was 9 feet tall because that's what he looked 9 feet tall when I was a kid. And when he said he was going to UVA, I was like, oh no, we got to play this guy for the next, because back then he played 4 years. Ralph Sampson, one of the original big men who could actually play a little bit like a guard when he wanted to. But yeah, Ralph Sampson was dominant. He was dominant, and watching Dean Smith coach against him was incredible because the four corners was almost his kryptonite. But Ralph Sampson was awesome.
That's his list. It's gone. Even his honorable mention is gone. PG, you tapping out?
I'm done. I'm not talking the rest of the episode.
All right, Coach Brooks.
Grant Hill.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Take that little Detroit Pistons with a good draft pick. Really? You going? You okay? You getting
Grant
that whole
Hill.
Raleigh Durham connection in there?
Grant Hill, JJ Redick. I mean,
Yeah, you got to stop there, Coach. You're going down a wrong path there.
Mac McClung.
Mac McClung.
Matt McClung. That's a possible.
We got a dunk.
Absolutely.
Two-time dunk contest winner.
All-time leading scorer in the state.
He's awesome. High school player. He was good in college too.
Yeah, he had a good college career for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
KW,
got another one
next?
I got another I'll go. Okay, yeah. Let me get this one out of the way. Talking about women, like Dawn Staley was huge. Watched her, but probably my favorite female baller to watch with Virginia ties is from ODU. Female, Tisha Pinachero.
Yeah,
was
she
straight
was
up like handles, crafty, D'd up, scorer.
Big
She
time
was
good.
it. Yep.
Wow.
I'd let her go one-on-one with Dawn Staley and see what's up. I think Tisha probably might win 2 out of 3. But that's my lady. Silence. All right, Flip, what's yours?
She's an agent now, Kato.
Yeah, she is an agent. I looked her up the other day too because I was thinking about. I was like, man, I wonder what she's doing. But yeah, she's Portugal or something like that. I don't know where she lives. She's a U.S. citizen now, though.
Yeah.
Do you know her?
I don't.
You might need to hire her for some of the kids you're bringing up through that Mechanicsville High School program. You might need to get her in there to talk to her.
There you go.
Great.
Hey, she may have been able to beat Dawn Staley's running mate. Do you remember who that was, Paul?
I could see her face, blonde-haired guard. I can't remember her name though. She was good.
Tammy Reese. That's
Tammy
who coach.
Reese.
She coaches Rhode Island women's basketball. That's who I saw there.
Oh, is that who the head coach is? That's awesome.
Yes.
Tammy would have been a much bigger name if she hadn't played next to Dawn Staley.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I'm going to give you my last one. And this is a personal favorite. And it's funny how things have gone for this guy based on the kids he's had. One of the best, if not best shooters I've ever seen, Del Curry. And his son is arguably, well, really, it's not even an argument, the best shooter of all time. But Del Curry, so smooth, man. Needed no room to get that shot off. Didn't jump over a phone book, but could light you up for 40. He was just so smooth, so awesome, and I think he still can shoot it. The clips I've seen. So Del Curry's my guy.
Nice, Coach Brooks. You got one?
I think I got 4, right?
I don't know. I stopped keeping track. So
Wilson, Grant Hill, Dawn Staley, Moses.
There you go. That's all right. Calvin Duncan, Tisha.
Yeah.
Chair.
Hey, Ben Wallace, undrafted Hall of Famer. Never happened.
Absolutely.
That's a great one.
Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
I was just getting ready to say, Oaks, who I want to get on the podcast. He'd be tremendous.
AJ English. Do you guys remember AJ?
Oh, yeah.
At Virginia Union?
Oh, yeah.
I saw AJ score 54 in Barco Stevens. It was when they used to play most of their games at the Ash Center. He had 54 and Jonathan Walker had 33. That was when they were scoring like 130 points a game. It was incredible. Terry Davis.
Yeah.
There's so many
Warren
good
Peebles.
ballers. I mean, you have episode just about basketball and those, their careers and what they've done. It's impressive. Just
Coach,
the segments you got Central VA. Go ahead.
Sorry, Kato. Sorry, man.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask Coach if he remembers seeing Milton Bell play.
I do remember seeing Milton Bell play. Absolutely. When he came
That
back,
guy he had everything in his toolbox. That dude was unbelievable. I wish he would have been able to carry that to the next level, because he may be one of the best players I've ever seen in person. Just he could do it all. He brought the house down back then it wasn't the Ben Wallace Summer League, but it was the Pro-Am Summer League when they played it out of John Marshall. And I was in the gym that day with a dunk that he almost jumped over a guy, and the stands just came onto the floor. It was unbelievable. Milton Bell was something else. Anyway, good stuff.
Coach Brooks.
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach.
And now you've got an opportunity to give a shout out to anybody, plug anything that you want. We really appreciate you being on. So this is your time to shine.
I appreciate you guys having me. This was a ton of fun. I'll come back whenever you want. This was great.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Love it, man.
Hey,
thanks
for joining us, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Go Mustangs.
Go Mustangs.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Super cool guy, man. A lot of fun. He's going to do a lot of good stuff there. I mean, obviously, he is already in Hanover County, but to get Mechanicsville, I know they had. I think last year they won one game, and I think I went to the third game, and I was like, "Hey, Coach, you already exceeded last year's record." So he's got a good core. He had a good group of seniors, like I said, that Joe Evans he was talking about. That's smooth left-handed point guard, but throughout the season, I could see that he was progressing. It probably had to be tough on him to give that up to Chris, but he's a baller too, man. He had a really good season, and it was cool to see Coach Brooks and that team play well. So I'm looking forward to it. And those, Mechanicsville versus Atlee, Patrick Henry, Hanover games. Woo-hoo.
Yeah,
those things are going to get nice in the next few years. So.
Well, you can tell he really loves the sport, right?
Yeah.
He really, really is all in on basketball.
I don't know how he does it. I mean, he spends a lot of time. That's like calling the mayor of Mechanicsville or Old Church, because he's doing everything. He's like the president of the association over there, and HYBL, full-time job, coaching. It's like, dude, when do you have time to do anything? So. But he loves basketball. He's always around.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Kevin,
great guess, man.
Did we cover everything on your board behind you?
No, I was going to say there's one more thing, and we've got a few minutes if you want to jump into how the local teams are going to do in the conference tournaments this weekend. We touched a little bit on the Richmond men. They're the number 1 seed in the A-10 tournament up at Barclays this weekend. VCU, I believe, is the 4th seed, and I think – if I read the bracket right, maybe I didn't. They may play each other again for a third time, but G-Dub.
I think VCU's the 5, aren't they? Did Flip freeze?
I can't tell if Kevin's frozen or
he froze because I think VCU's the 5 seed.
He froze on me, so I didn't hear you. Oh, 5 seed. Okay. Yeah, but still, I think wouldn't that mean they play them in like this? I don't know, quarters. Who knows? Hopefully, that'd be a fun matchup to see a third time.
Yeah, they get a double bye in the A-10, the first 4 seeds. So,
yeah, absolutely. UVA got a shot?
No, they have no chance. They can't score. I look, some UVA fan who's always trying to find an angle to say that you got to have perspective. It's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, he's having a tough season. I mean, the team has 23 wins. That's a solid season. And the notion of embrace the pace they've been saying in Charlottesville for a while now. And look, if you can score 60 points, I'm okay with the way you play basketball. But when you score 47 or 44, or you have 10 points with 3 minutes left in the first half, I'm not embracing that. And so this UVA guy who always finds the bright part of whatever it is, Bennett has, or UVA's program has the best winning percentage, I think, since Bennett's been there. Like better than Kentucky, better than Kansas, better than UNC, Duke, et cetera, et cetera. And which is to say his approach is pretty good and steady, where you'll see UNC or Duke or Kansas. They occasionally have down years. He's steady around 20 to 25 wins every season.
I think Lenardi has them as a last
his
4
style
in.
It's boring. It's so boring. It's so boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they might
but
struggle
you know what,
is
though?
over the. Sorry,
Go ahead, Kato.
There's a
Sorry.
delay on Kevin's side. Go ahead, K-Dub.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out because I think Lenardi had him as the last 4 in, but the ACC and they've got 23 wins, they'll probably get in, but just squeak in. But if the committee, they haven't played well over the past few weeks, so that's the problem. That might be the issue. If they don't get in, people would say that, but I think just based on their track record, they'll end up getting in. But can we talk about the JMU Dukes?
Absolutely.
The men, 31 wins. They're the only team in college basketball with 30-plus wins. They're 31-3, went in, won their conference tourney. They're going to be a tough out. Right? You already said Longwood, U of R women, possibly U of R or VCU. One of those two could get in, right? They're not going to be an at-large. But Richmond could be an at-large, but VCU maybe not because Dayton would be that at-large. So we got to hope that VCU or Richmond wins the conference tourney to get in.
Well, the only way both of them get in, and a 5 would meet the 1 in the Final Four of that conference tournament. Richmond would have to eke in losing in the Final Four of their conference tournament as the regular season winner, and VCU would have to go obviously win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
You got to get your kids off that Xbox, Flip. It's messing up your feed.
Yeah, believe me, I'm taking mental notes.
No, I'm kidding. I can't say much. My internet's terrible too.
No, it's cool.
I pretty famously said I had awesome internet, and I think like the next week it just crashed for half an hour. So yeah, we've all had our challenges. Kevin, I do appreciate the number 1 foam finger behind you. You're telling me it's a UVA foam finger. So we've gone from a UNC blanket that made me nauseous last week to now you're giving me my school's foam finger. I love it.
Yeah. Doing my best.
Want to show us anything else on your shelf, Flip? This will be our last segment. Rub some dirt on it. Nice.
Stop crying. Rub some dirt on it.
Oh, PG with the Wahoo Wah oysters. You guys can send an email to info@virginiasforsports.com, and we'll send a link out to Flip's oysters.
Flips.
PG 50p. Sorry.
What do you got there, Kato?
That's a Mike Robb. That's a Mike Robb. So is that who you're speaking into guesthood? Is Mike Robb?
This virtual background makes it hard for you to see. Look, Mike Robb is he coming to Virginia for sports or not? Where is he?
I think he is. I think we just put it into the ether.
I got to get this card signed by him. It's his rookie card.
Hey,
he's saying yes. He's saying yes right now. So,
Mike Robb, is that your answer for who you really want on? Like, if you could only have one more personal one, he's your answer.
Mike Robb?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be there. Definitely Mike Robb. You got Damian Woody. He's a TV guy. Mike Robb and Damian Woody. Who's better on TV? Well, JJ Redick's on TV too. Could have him.
No. I don't. Does JJ Redick get to be on this podcast? And look, I'm being somewhat serious here. He's from Roanoke, and you don't stay in state. You go to Duke. You literally picked the worst possible place to go for a kid from Virginia.
No,
it's inexcusable.
Grant Hill did it. A bunch of the guys that went to Oak Hill did it. He's in Roanoke, dude. That's like West Virginia. No, sorry. I take that back. I'm editing that out.
We're trying to get subscribers, not offend them.
Hey,
There's some people that
See
moved
that?
from West Virginia to Virginia.
Yeah, I see
The
it.
two biggest misses ever for this basketball team: JJ Redick, who's in their backyard, and Steph Curry, whose dad went there. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the
I'm
Steph
throwing that over
Curry
there.
thing is the biggest mistake for that current coach. I think people that know Tech basketball know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say his name, though, but he blew that one. Blew it.
Was
Yeah.
Greenberg coaching
It was
Virginia
Greenberg.
Tech back then? When
It was Greenberg.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
It happens.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't get it.
It happens.
It does. It does. It happened twice to them in a row, but it happens.
Virginia Tech has had some
Good
good
stuff.
basketball players, though.
I'd love to
They
get
have.
Seth Greenberg on here.
I'd love to talk to Seth Greenberg.
Get him on here and ask him what his mindset was around Dell's son.
Yeah, there you go. Rapid fire from Flip. How come you couldn't recruit Steph Curry
Go.
or JJ Redick?
Right. That'd be a follow-up question. After he explains Steph Curry, like, well, what about JJ Redick? Oh, man. Nightmares for that guy.
Hey, hey, thanks for being on, Coach. How'd you blow the Steph Curry recruiting thing? How'd that happen?
Hashtag oops. Oh, man.
You're muted again, K-Dub.
Good job.
Still muted.
Oh, it's because I unplugged my mic on accident, and then when you plug it back in, you got to hit the unmute. You know, this is a sports podcast as well as a live Zoom call, Teams call, whatever you want, training session. I throw those in there for you as well.
We want everybody to get a feel of what it's like to be in a corporate America meeting.
Exactly.
Well,
Guys,
all right, good stuff.
I
Good stuff.
fix my internet.
Good guess, K-Dub.
yeah, it's
Yes, sir.
awesome. Hey, make sure you guys go to all of our social media, follow us, and mostly YouTube. Go on there, subscribe. We're going to be sending out a bunch of stuff. Hopefully UVA, we'll see, makes it in there. Hopefully they have a good tournament. I think they'll solidify their stuff in there. But Flip, anything for the outro? Anything you got to say? Anything
Yeah, one more thing. Stomp the Lunatic is coming next week. So we will have that episode out prior to the tournament starting. So if you want to get any ideas of who you should or shouldn't pick, it'll be out next week. Looking forward to that with Tom Hodgson, the Lunatic.
How many people are going to be in that contest that we're going to normally? How many people are in his?
300 to 400.
I was going to say a few hundred. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom goes crazy, man. He loses his mind for about a month.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're gonna try to double his stuff this year
in his write up.
Nice.
All right, I like it. Stomp the Lunatic. I love it.
Next week. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great weekend. Later. 2 up, 2 down. Hey, Virginia sports lovers, we appreciate your support and we thank you for listening. If you got any questions, suggestions, or a cool story, feel free to send us an email at info@virginiasforsports.com or hit us up on social media. Find us at YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. VA is for sports. We appreciate the love.